Good morning, everyone. Good to see you. Just a minute, I have to do something over here. But that's fine. My name is Ank Kleinmeulman. Our website is cwowi.eu. I am sorry, I have to do something here. Something is wrong. Right, there you go. Okay, start again. Hello, good morning. My name is Ank Kleinmeulman. Our website is cwowi.eu. You can find a lot of articles on our website. We are part of a house church network, a worldwide network of house churches in many nations, over 50 nations. And if you feel led to do house church, if you want to be part of a community of people who have like-minded faith, who think like you think, who love the Lord, go to our website, a lot of articles about it, but also a lot of teachings and weekly thoughts translated in different, those are emails that come out every week and translated in many other languages. So please do go there. Today I want to talk to you about when the cloud moves. And that's a saying that we as Christians sometimes use, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it means that you have the sense that something is going to change, something has to change. Maybe you have to leave your job, or maybe there's some other things going on in your life, but you feel there's a change coming. That's when we say when the cloud moves. And actually that comes from Numbers chapter 9, when Israel, they came out of Egypt and they traveled in the wilderness on their way to the promised land, although they didn't know where the promised land was and how it would be exactly. But they traveled in the wilderness, and then it said that the Lord covered them by a cloud, was a pillar of cloud by day, a pillar of fire by night. So it provided shade during the day, warmth during the night. And then it says here, when you go to Numbers, it says, verse 17, whenever the cloud was taken up from above the tabernacle, after that the children of Israel would journey, the children of Israel would pitch their tent. So when the cloud continued long, they kept the charge of the Lord and did not journey. So there was the cloud, the presence, it's actually the presence of the Lord where the Lord was. He protected them, he gave them shade, he gave them warmth. If the cloud stayed, they stayed there. But it says whether by day or by night, whenever the cloud was taken up, they would journey. So they had to watch the cloud and be aware of what is happening. Is the cloud taken up? That it means, okay, something is going to change, and then the cloud would move. And it says 23, at the command of the Lord they remained encamped, and at the command of the Lord they journeyed. So it was what the Lord wanted them to do. So the cloud represents God's presence. It represents God's presence in our lives, because God is not out there anymore. Of course he is, but the Holy Spirit lives in us. He lives in us, Christ in us, the hope of glory. So we have to be aware of what is happening inside of us. And we are not moved by our circumstances. We do not change things because our circumstances change, but we are moved by what the Holy Spirit is communicating to us. If he wants us to move, if he wants us to change job or whatever, whenever something is going on. So the picture for us, when we say, I feel the cloud is moving, then you were just doing fine, you had peace, and you had the presence of the Lord and joy in doing what you want to do, what you are doing. And oftentimes it was even led by the Lord to do so, and that's fine. But then you feel something is changing. And you don't know that, of course, the presence of the Lord is still there, but it has lifted. The joy is gone. What you are doing is more harder, and you are looking for, you're saying, is this all there is? And that is the idea of the cloud lifting up. It becomes uncomfortable what you're doing. That's no more full of peace or joy. There's no more grace to do something. It becomes harder. Maybe there's lack of provision. So the cloud first lifts and then it moves. An example from my own life, it was about 10, 15 years ago. I was part of a GLOW team, and maybe you know GLOW ministers started ministering to women from different denominations, coming together like every month. And the idea was to get them acquainted with the Holy Spirit, baptized and so on with the Holy Spirit. So I was asked to be a part of that and to lead that team of women who would prepare for those meetings. And at first I thought, that's not my thing, ministering to women, I'm not kind of person who likes just women. But after praying for it, and I knew the Lord wanted me to do that, so I did. And actually, I start liking it, because that's something too. When the Lord wants you to do something, He will give you the grace and the joy and the peace to do it. So that happened, and I've done it for 6 years at least, I think. And it was fine, and we ministered to many women, and I enjoyed it. But then suddenly it was like, I still remember on a Thursday evening, because on Thursday evenings we were, or it was Monday evenings, doesn't matter. We were as a team preparing for the next meeting. And I was driving to that meeting, and I thought, why do I not like going there right now? Why is it now suddenly hard? Have I not prepared myself well enough, as I always do, or what's going on? And it was not just one time, but it was time after time. And then it dawned on me, it could be that the grace is lifting. It could be that a cloud is moving. So the Lord wants me to do something else. But it was hard, of course, because you love the people, you love what you were doing, you loved what you were doing. So I talked to it with the women of the team. And we said, well, let's just pray. If I have to move, do something else, and someone else will lead it, and the Lord will talk to that person. He will confirm it. And that happened after some time. Was another lady. She said the Lord gave her a vision, and she knew in her spirit that it was the Lord. He wanted her to continue leading a glow. And so it was. And I still remember another example. I started doing Bible school also years ago on a Saturday morning, and it was full of joy and peace, and I loved doing it, loved preparing, loved teaching. And then just some Saturday morning when we were driving to the building, to the school building where we would have the Bible school, it was like, what am I doing here? Why am I doing this? It becomes hard. I do not like it anymore. It felt like the grace was lifting. And then I understood, okay, there will be an end to what I'm doing. So that's something you have to understand. Even when the Lord leads you to do a certain things, to start a certain ministry, to go, to have a certain job, to live in a certain place, or to go to a certain church, it doesn't mean that you have to stay there forever. It can be there for a season. And when that season is gone, it's like the cloud is lifting. Something is changing. And it means, okay, the Lord wants me to move on. He wants me to do something different, something else. I'm not quite sure what, but you know, there's a change is coming. So we are not responding to circumstances, but what is happening in our spirit. And oftentimes those circumstances are changing too. It could be there's no provision in your job anymore. Maybe they are cutting, how do you say that? People have to leave their job, so you feel something in the natural is also changing. Or that could be something else, like there is no provision anymore. So it can be in the natural, but first of all, the Lord will speak to you in your spirit. So when the cloud is lifting and moving, we are talking about that God inside of you, Christ in you, He moved on. Maybe it's about a relationship. Maybe you are helping certain people for a time, and that was good, and there was joy and peace and provision in it, but you feel like it's lifting, meaning, okay, your time with those people is gone. You have to move on from this relationship, from the job or from the church or whatever. So when it is lifting, that grace is lifting, you start preparing yourself mentally for it. An example actually in Paul's life, when he felt the grace was lifting, the cloud was moving, is in Romans 15:23. Paul was writing to the Romans from the city of Corinth, and he writes, I have no more place in these parts, having no more place in these parts, and I have a desire to come to you. So no more place means there's nothing more for me to do. It feels like, okay, maybe I was there for a season. There's no more place for me in these parts, he says. So that means it's a specific part of your life. It could be about a person. It could be about a situation, about a job, about a church, about where you're living. And then he said he had a great desire. So that when that cloud is lifting, it's like there's taken a cap off of something. If the cloud is lifting, and then there's something else coming to the surface, and that is a desire that you already had in your heart, but you were probably not aware of it. And the Lord is putting it, bringing it up to the surface. Maybe you had a longing for deeper relationships, or maybe you had a longing to live somewhere else where there was more space around you, like we had a longing. We lived in a how do you call that, a row house, something like that, in Houten for almost 30 years. But at the end, when the grace was lifting to live there, we had a longing to live somewhere else where there would be more room to have people in our homes. So that longing comes to the surface. And okay, so that's amazing to know. So Numbers says, whether it was by day or by night, whenever the cloud was taken up, they would journey. So that means it's not always convenient when it was by night. Even when the cloud moves, even when the Lord is moving you on, it means it's not easy. It's not easy to let go of those relationships, or to let go of the church or the home that you are comfortable in. Because there's oftentimes a comfortable, you're comfortable in what you do. And it feels like right, it's comfortable. But when he moves you on, there's this kind of uncertainty. You don't know. It's a bit weird. But it doesn't. But it can be God even when you feel uncomfortable, because the purpose of our life is to follow the cloud and to follow the Lord in all things, even when it's difficult. And even when people do not understand what you're doing, but when you are leaving, when you are moving, following the Lord, do it in a righteous way, do it the right way. So talking about a glow, I did not just leave it from one day to another or 1 month to another. No, there was some time. The Lord gave me some time that I could prepare them, and the Lord was working in someone else's heart. And there's no rush to do things. You have to do it in the right way so people are comfortable with it too, as much as it lies within you. But how people react, other people react, that's their business, and that's their accountability before the Lord. So the Israelites were moving to a place where provision was. Otherwise, God would not have them move. So look at the provision, look at God's presence and his peace, and do not look to the challenges. Because a new job can be hard at first. It can be uncomfortable being in a new home, in a new area. You don't know anyone else. But where he is moving you, there is a place of peace and a provision, rest and safety. You just have to follow the cloud. There's a wonderful saying from Corrie ten Boom. Maybe you have heard of her. She was a Dutch evangelist. She survived the Second World War. She was in a concentration camp. And after she came out of the camp, she started traveling the world and talking about the Lord, how he helped her through all the difficult situations that she had encountered. And she says, one of her quotes is, she says, "Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God." Never be afraid to trust an unknown future to a known God. Because when he is moving you, when the cloud lifts, when the cloud moves and you follow, there will be provision, there will be that joy again, and he will take care of you. You just follow the clouds. Hope it was a blessing to some of you. See you next time. Bye-bye.